begin today with the Waterloo pre-show. The French are going to attempt to avoid Hougoumont and focus on the British left. They have one column here of mixed infantry and cavalry corps, and they have a second column here of mixed infantry and cavalry corps. In the front is the Grand Battery, and they're going to focus on this point right here. Of course, the ground is soft and the artillery is not very effective, which is why they are focusing it all in one area to try to get it to do something. Lobau's corps over here is watching for the Prussians. The Prussians are coming in this way. Because Waterloo did not begin until noon, there are only 7 turns in the Waterloo scenario. Turn 1, the Prussian 4th Corps under von Bülow comes in. The second turn, Blucher and Zieten arrive with the 1st Corps. In the third turn, Perch comes on with the 2nd Corps. Now, although they come in very early, they're in column, they're Prussian, so they're very stretched out. If the French plan works well, the battle will be over before they're even on the map. The British have their best troops in key positions, less reliable troops toward the back, and cavalry in the back to respond to any crisis in the front lines. Now you'll notice, with the exception of Lobau over here with his corps, I've got all the corps HQs here and here. Although the Waterloo map is huge, the battle happens in a very focused area, generally. And any of these HQs can get to wherever they need to be in to get a unit in command. By placing them all in a group, I deny the enemy any intelligence they might infer based on the way my HQs are displayed. Enough chatter. Let's go. Now I always begin Waterloo off with Napoleon activating and the Grand Battery firing. Nothing happens until the Grand Battery fires. The dice are hot, Picton is driven out. It's always a difficult decision for the British whether or not they want to unpack a bag early, because then they can hold the line. Probably. But if they break, if the French are successful, the bags will get sacked and the battle's over. The British decide to do it, and Hill unpacks his bags. This will allow this elite unit to recover, and Picton sends the Brunswickers forward and occupies the ground that the artillery drove them from. Bülow's 4th Corps is seen entering the map. They enter with a third of a move, and the French assault begins. And the rest of their units in the column move forward, and Durland's corps joins them, and the rest of his corps moves forward. Lobau's 6th Corps. Lobau takes back his artillery and puts it in the line. Wellington reinforces the Brunswickers with some British regulars. It's now time for turn 1's combat. Durland's attack at Papelotte. Heavy losses on both sides see the French thrown back. Kielmanse's troops hold Papelotte. The assault on La Haye-Sainte. More heavy losses and heavy fighting, but the French are driven back. Turn 2. Early afternoon. Kellerman's cuirassiers charge. This is the special charge rule. These units attack when they move. The bloody British units are overwhelmed and run down. The French Guard Lancers charge home. And of course, they get the charge rules. And the Brunswickers are run down. And they fall back. The young, the middle, and the old guard move forward. Even the Guard cuirassiers move forward. And Napoleon reorganizes the Grand Battery. Uxbridge sees his chance and sends his hussars forward. Riley prepares to support the cavalry attack in front of him. With no cavalry in his way, Durland attacks. And he moves up and unpacks his bags in anticipation. In a desperate bid, the Dutch infantry join the assault. And the French 4th Corps, under Bülow, gets a full move this turn. And the large Prussian baggage trains can be seen as slowing the whole entrance of the corps. Blucher and Zieten enter with a full move. Early afternoon combat. Durland's assault on La Haye. Though by no means an easy task, the British are removed. Lancers move to clean up some detachments. And the swirling cavalry battle in the center. The French cavalry want none of that, and they fall back. Now we move on to turn 3, late afternoon. Both armies break when they've lost 6 infantry blocks. The French have lost 3, the British have lost 4. How will this play out? It's late afternoon and the Prussians begin appearing. The British have pretty good reports of the Prussians here. These Prussians are part of a French hope. Could that be Grouchy?
No.
Wellington sends the Duke of Orange to go grab the Dutch cavalry and send them against the French lancers. And with horns and fanfare, off they go. Wellington has his allied troops occupy La Haye-Sainte. Kellerman's cavalry reforms. Lyon and his cavalry move forward. Durland races forward and gets his corps moving. Zieten and Blücher, First Corps. And finally Perch and the Prussian Second Corps arrive. In Bülow's Fourth Corps, the cavalry moves forward while the rest of the corps forms up. And Riley jumps forward and commands his Second Corps to attack. The Young Guard attacks. And now turn 3, late afternoon combat. It's likely this is Durland's last effort, for his corps is exhausted. What heroes! They capture the artillery and fall back. It looked like a great opportunity to show what they're worth, these Allied hussars, but finding themselves outflanked are in trouble. Nevertheless, they scare the lancers off and then they fall back to the line. Riley's assault on these Allied troops. But the French hussars charge the disorganized Allied troops and run them down. The Young Guard attacking Perponcher's troops. Having defeated the Young Guard assault, Perponcher's troops fall back and leave a detachment to guard the flank. Both armies break with 6 infantry block losses. The French have lost 4, Allies have lost 5. It is an uncomfortably close and very tense game. Riley's corps is activated. Jerome rallies. His hussars rally. Durland's corps is near breaking and he needs to pull them back. Zieten, with Blücher, begins to deploy. In host, 4th Cavalry Corps attacks. Perch, along with his light cav, race forward with Prussia's 2nd Corps, and the infantry struggles to keep up. Kellerman rallies his troops. Wellington pulls Perponcher's troops back towards the bags. He can't have spent infantry on the front lines. The Duke of Orange pulls the Dutch dragoons clear. And Uxbridge charges with the household cav. Now there's no in-game effect for having the leader present, but I just like the way it feels. The household heavy cav takes advantage of the charge rule and drives them home. Bülow's cav are chased off. Meanwhile, to Uxbridge's left, we've got some dragoon on dragoon action. Oh, French 4th Cavalry Corps were driven back. I'm guessing they drew the short stick for choice of mounts, and the French were really hurting for cav in this battle. There being a shortage of horses in France. Not wanting to wait, Bülow orders a charge. The rest of his corps races forward. Lobau sends his lancers forward. Napoleon sends a cuirassiers to crush the center. They of course use the charge rule. Let's see how they fare. That's 3 6s. Can't do much better than that. The one hit that the British Hussars delivered was of course absorbed by the elite status. Early evening combat. Lobau versus the Prussians, east of Planchenoit. Bülow's Prussians fare poorly. Again, the Prussians fare poorly. And the cavalry assault. Although left in confusion,
The Prussian.
Hussars got the better of Supervi's lancers. It's early evening on this long summer day. The casualties remained at 4 for the French and 5 for the British. And now 2 for the Prussians. The Prussian army breaks with 5, the British and French with 6. If the French can just destroy 1 more British block, they'll break the British army. But they can't lose 2 blocks in doing so. Prussian 1st Corps applies pressure. They charge the French 4th Cav. And the infantry flanks the French dragoons. And the French Cav rides off. Lobau dresses his line. Durland rallies his troops. The British attack is stalled, and Kellerman sends his troops forward. And Picton's men give them a sturdy slapping and send them back, and they go through all the French cav up front. It's chaos. With nothing to lose, he sends his other cav forward. The dice can't be that unlucky twice in a row. It's disaster. Picton's men get driven back, and now the bags are exposed. And the French guard is drawn next. The French guard's cuirassiers turn about and charge. Since they are covered by the charge rule, combat is resolved now. Beginning of combat, the bags are contacted, they're destroyed, they're captured. The British Army routs. Had any British HQ been drawn first, they could have thrown something in the way. But that was not to be. The French had very lucky dice on several occasions this game, and were able to capitalize on that. French victory at Waterloo in the early evening hours. Good game!